time for PetSylvania with Dr. Bob Esplin. Dr. Bob guides you through the latest veterinary techniques and procedures to keep your pets in the best of health. PetSylvania is brought to you by Elanco, maker of Trifexis and Comfortis. With your ears up and tails wagging, here is Dr. Bob.
It's Dr. Bob. This is PetSylvania, and it's really nice to be back and taping my show in real time rather than in advance. So I'd like to thank our sponsors, Elanco, maker of Trifexis, Comfortis, and Reconcile. We're going to talk a little bit during the program about the time of year and what that means for you and what you should be doing for your pet. Hills, the makers of Science Diet and Prescription Diets, one of the highest quality super premium foods on the market. They're a great company. They make great products. And frankly, it's a great buy for what you get. You know what you're getting when you buy from Hills. And the same is true with other super premium companies. But one of the great advantages of Hills is the stability of their formula. So from bag to bag, you can bet it's going to be the same thing. And other companies change ingredients without changing the label, without informing you. They're allowed to do that legally, and they take advantage of that. And then that can create all kinds of problems. So I want you to look at the Hills quality product. They have a wide variety in the Science Diet line that'll meet every niche that you have out there. If you want to go grain-free, they've got a grain-free diet. If you want to go all natural, they can meet that need as well as their standard Science Diet products, from Science Diet Light through Maintenance through Puppy. All these are great foods. Esplin Medical, the maker of the most environmentally friendly surgical scrubs on the market. Not only are they environmentally friendly, but they are by far the most comfortable scrubs that you could ever possibly wear. They're 80% all natural fiber. Almost all other scrubs are about 65% poly and 35% cotton. That poly, it just never softens up. It's like wearing burlap all the time. You almost always have to wear an undergarment in order to keep from getting your skin chafed. With environmentally friendly Esplin Medical scrub, that just isn't true. There are 4 colors: Caribbean blue, jade green, seal blue, and navy blue, and then unisex bottoms, 3 tops, a 4-pocket top, a contrasting top, and then a solid color that goes with the solid color bottom, all in the unisex style. Sylvania Vet, my office, of course, running efficiently and smoothly in my absence. That's good to know. You kind of always wonder, what you're going to think, that if it kind of goes on without a blink, without you there, do they really need you? And they tell me that they do and that they miss me, but I can't tell you how reassured I am to be able to talk about the quality care continuing. Been voted the best vet 6 years in a row. We're going to work on the 7-year itch this year, and it's in the hands of my 5 associates who are working diligently. They're working hard, and my great staff who are picking up the slack and making everything happen. I'm going to tell you about a case here in a little bit. You can check us out in a lot of different places, but the website is a great place, www.sylvaniavet.com, or you can call and get information and actually ask to come in for a tour, and you're welcome anytime at 419-885-4421. Today is a milestone for me. I'm out and about again. I was actually able to drive myself, and when you've been down for 3.5 weeks, not able to get behind the wheel, it's certainly a thrill to be able to drive, even though it's only daylight driving, short distances. That's a real step in the right direction. Most of you probably know, but just to bring you up to speed, I had triple bypass surgery on the 20th of March. At the same time, I also had my left carotid artery cleaned out. That double surgery has proved to be extremely successful, and I'm starting to come back. I walked 22 minutes on the treadmill today at a roaring 1.7 miles an hour. And so those of you that are runners out there, you better watch out, because I'm coming to get you. Again, I can't thank 4 doctors that have been involved in this. Dr. Craig Hoppel, who is the one that picked up on the little glip in my electrocardiogram and said, you need to go get a bypass. And then Dr. John Letcher who's my cardiologist, and who interpreted it and said, "Yep, you're going to need to go in and have a procedure and have a cardiac cath." And that's where we found that I had three either fully obstructed. I had one fully obstructed artery in my heart, and two that were substantially restricted. The biggest one's called the lateral descending anterior, and that's that one. If that one goes, it's a serious heart attack, and I'm lucky I had no heart attack, no heart damage. My carotid was done by John Piggott, just a superior surgeon, and then my bypass was done by Dr. Mike Barat. He has extraordinarily skilled hands and a very caring way about him, and I was released by him this week. So it's not that I don't like seeing Mike Morant, but I'm really happy that I don't have to go see him anymore. The take home on this is this was all picked up on a wellness exam. Get your wellness exams, folks. Please take better care of yourself than I was myself, because these findings are pretty scary when they come at you. It seems like we've talked in the past quite a bit about cat litter and the effects that cats not liking their litter or their litter box placement or their litter box per se can have on behavior. And again, I was on the internet, and up comes a pop-up ad for something new called feline pine. And so again, these companies are trying to figure out ways to help control the odor of your cat's litter box, when in fact that what they really should be doing is marketing products that have little to no scent, or that they're trying to mimic what it's like out in the middle of your garden. If you have a lot of pine trees on your property, would mimic that. But historically, I can remember back in the early 70s. Yes, I've been doing it since 1970s, so I remember the early 70s really well. And there was a product that came out. It was a litter. It was a litter that had chlorophyll in it. That was kind of the beginning of our then having to have conversations with clients. My cat doesn't like my litter box anymore. Right about the same time, the reason that the chlorophyll litter came out was because more and more people were keeping their cats indoors instead of letting them out, and so they could go out and use the potty. And they were becoming more of an indoor animal, and they were becoming, multiple cat households were existing, and those were unusual circumstances in the long-term genealogy of the cat. Cat has been a free-roaming animal for almost forever, and I really believe that within a couple of generations, if we turned our cats loose, they would no longer be domesticated. They would be totally independent. But what we tried to do then is make it easy on us, and let's try to cover up the odor rather than cleanliness. The best and only true way to keep a cat happy in their litter boxes are several things, but one is cleanliness. None of us use a dirty toilet. We'd rather avoid a porta potty at a summer festival at all costs if it's humanly possible because of the odor. Cats feel the same way, so they don't like covered litter boxes. It just isn't natural. They don't like litter that smells like Aunt Tilly's lilac cologne, and they just plain and simply want it easy. They want to be able to. They're kind of construction engineers, so they want to be able to dig. It needs to be deep enough to do that. Keep it real clean. Multiple boxes. Every cat you have in the house, there needs to be one box plus one extra. There's so much to talk about when it relates to cats and their behavior and their temperament that we could spend an entire show doing that. It's time for a break, and we'll be right back. One of the things that, welcome back. One of the things that I wanted to briefly touch base on is that drive around town and you'll see marquees on veterinary offices, and they all talk about rebates and free products when it comes to heartworm and or flea tick products. So let's just briefly touch on that. All the high quality products that are out there that are available through veterinarians, and those are truly the ones that you should be buying, because along with that comes guarantees from the company. comes expertise from the company as well as the staff. Don't be miserly and don't try to save a buck by buying off-brand stuff at the pet store. You're just going to be disappointed. But almost every one of these products that are out there have either free goods or rebates associated with that. So the reality is I'd look for the best base price, and they vary dramatically. We have the best prices on Trifexis in Northwest Ohio, among the best prices on HeartGuard Plus, and many of the other products that we sell. The baseline price is the same because then the rebates and the free goods are all going to come with that. Settle on the best price and go from there. An article recently in Veterinary Product News talked about nationally that the tick population is exploding, and there doesn't seem to be a great explanation for this. If this weather in Northwest Ohio, whether ever breaks and we actually have spring rather than I'm not sure what to call this weather. It's not exactly winter, although they did see that maybe there are going to be snow flurries tonight. How disgusting is that? That we're going to start seeing ticks, and there are certain areas in Northwest Ohio where ticks are a more significant problem than others. You get down to Holland, Swanton, and that quarter, the Swan Creek Park area, those areas, there are a lot of ticks. Secord Park, a lot of ticks. And so if you go to those places, you should be paying attention to tick control. In my mind, there's about two ways to attack ticks. One is the tried and true use of topical applicators like Frontline Plus, and it is a great product, but it is very, very dependent upon proper application by you, the owner, and if it's got to be gotten on the skin and it's got to stay there. Or a new way that we've been recommending the last couple of years is a collar called the Scalibor collar. The Scalibor collar, this is one endorsement. It's certainly not the beginning and the end of it, but my daycare manager, Tabitha, had used Frontline for years, and she lives in a high tick area, and she was saying that she was still finding ticks and having to pull and remove ticks off of her dog. And when the first year the Scalibor came out, she gave it a try. She put it on. She literally didn't find ticks on her animals. We've seen videos where the Scalibor collar actually repels the tick as well as killing the tick. It repels mosquitoes as well, and it has a small function against fleas. So our recommendation is Trifexis for heartworm, internal parasite, and flea control, and Scalibor for tick control, and you will be covered with that for 6 months. And that's about that Scalibor collar lasting 6 months. That's about the duration of tick season in our area. If you're going to other areas like Connecticut or Wisconsin, Minnesota, you need to really pay attention to that. And if you have found ticks on your animals, I would also encourage you to get Lyme disease vaccine, and we carry a really great quality Lyme disease vaccine, and it's something that's well worth using. I told you earlier I was going to talk to you a little bit about a case that we had, and for me it typifies so many things about the way Sylvania Vet goes to business, and that is Dr. Melanie last Saturday. She started her workday at 8 o'clock in the morning, and at 11:30 at night she had not left the office. She was doctor on call, and late in the day, even after hours, a dog came in from Ypsilanti that had been seen by a veterinarian up there, had been properly diagnosed with an infection in its uterus. Now, this is an older dog, about 13, and that we could have a whole discussion about why is a 13-year-old dog still intact. But interestingly enough, dogs do not go through a menopause, and so as a result, they can have heat cycles when they're 13, and they can develop the consequences of those heat cycles. And in this case, they did. And this dog was very ill. The veterinarian up in Ypsilanti says, "Oh, you just ought to put the dog to sleep." Owners weren't willing to do that. Somehow they found us. Down they come. And rather than at the end of a long day put it off, Dr. Melanie said, "Let's get this dog to surgery." They did a quick workup. I've got such a super staff. They can do things like you can't possibly imagine. We had a full workup done on this dog in less than an hour, and we're in surgery. And at 11:30, she's just wrapping it up. And she's got a husband and 2 children at home. And I know that she would much rather have been home and getting ready for bed than there. But that's the ultimate professionalism of Dr. Melanie Blaisdell at my office and every other one of my associates. They are extraordinarily dedicated. It takes a special person to fulfill the mission of Sylvania Vet. So I am extraordinarily proud of her and of my entire staff and all of my doctors. Flutexine, also known as Reconcile, also known as Prozac, has a variety of uses in dogs and cats. Reconcile is the veterinary brand that is made by Elanco, the same people that make Trifexis and Comfortis. And it's the product that when I decide that I have a patient that needs behavior modification and needs medication to help that modification, that we always start with a veterinary approved product. It's considered standard of practice in the veterinary medicine. If there is a veterinary approved product, then that's really where you should start. And then ultimately, after you've done a couple of months and you know that you're getting the benefit if you want, then we'll try to make a transition to the generic human. And we will see situations where it works just fine, but we will see situations where it doesn't work the same as Reconcile, and then we have to go back to that. So some of the uses for Reconcile are in canine aggression, dog aggression problems, and the same thing is true in snarly kitties, that we can have an impact on that. We have to be extremely careful when we treat an aggressive dog with behavior modification and medications, because we feel a certain responsibility to society, as does the owner. But an owner is willing to do all the work that's necessary, and sometimes it's necessary to get a veterinary behavioralist. Yes, there are specialists that are veterinarians that do nothing but deal with behavioral problems, and these difficult cases are the ones that they get involved with. I consider myself a veterinarian with behavioral interests, so I kind of triage these things on a scale of 1 to 5. A low 3 is about as far as I'll go before I think I'm over my head. We should be seeing a specialist. Unfortunately, there are no specialists in the area. Closest specialist is up in Oakland at Oakland Veterinary Referral Service, and there's another veterinary specialist, a behavioral specialist over in the Akron area. Both of those we refer to and are very happy and satisfied with the quality of their work. In addition to that, we use Prozac for animals, dogs mostly with separation anxiety. Again, separation anxiety cannot be treated just with medication. It involves a dedication on the part of the owner to work at the behavior modification. And then we see obsessive compulsive behavior in dogs and cats that'll spin in circle and chase their tail, or they will pick a spot on their leg and lick excessively. There are products available to help us when we're dealing with these behavioral problems, and Reconcile is one of those, but only one of those. There's a product out there called the Wisdom Panel. And the Wisdom Panel, I've always maintained it's been kind of if you have a mixed breed dog, it's what's that mutt made of, And in the beginning, the Wisdom Panel was not thorough enough. It didn't really give you the answers. But right now, it's been markedly improved, and they're able to take in that regular Heinz 57 that we've all talked about, and they're able to determine what breeds go into that makeup. And there may be some advantages to finding that out. Let's take one just example. If you have a herding dog, like an Australian cattle dog, that dog has a tendency they like to nip at your ankles and run in circles and chase behind you. And if you have a dog that has Australian cattle dog or another herding dog in it, and you have young children, that may not be a great dog for you. So it might help you be able to choose if you did that. Other types of genetic problems can be an issue as well, and that can help us as we sort out medical problems that might exist in a mixed breed dog, because we see problems like hip dysplasia and other diseases that we associate with just purebreds. We see them in mixed breed dogs as well. Well, it's time to take a break. We'll be back. One of the things that I wanted to bring to your attention is that if you're the owner of a purebred golden retriever, there's a study going on it's a long-term lifetime study that's being sponsored by the Morris Animal Foundation, which is the charitable foundation of the Hills Pet Food Company. If you decide to be a part of this, you register your dog with the Hills people. There's a very few, very simple criterion that you have to meet. Anybody that might be interested and learning more and learning who to get in touch with, called the Canine Lifetime Health Project. And right now it only involves golden retrievers. Please feel free to email me at Dr. Bob, D-R-B-O-B, at sylvaniavet.com, and I'll get you the necessary information so that you can inquire in more detail. I want to thank our sponsors again, Hills, the makers of the newest game-changing diet on the market through the prescription diet line. We've had a couple of dogs on metabolic diet now at the office, and when I stopped in the office yesterday for the first time, I saw a dog that in the first 3 weeks, this dog had lost 3 pounds, maintained its energy level. The owners were extremely happy. The diet is doing what it's supposed to do. It is truly a game changer because the Hills people, their nutrition scientists, have figured out a way to turn back on fat-burning genes that hormones secreted by body fat have actually shut down. That body fat that we all have hanging over our belt actually has a life of its own, and it doesn't want to give up its place on our body, and it will do everything it can to survive, and it literally secretes hormones that shut down fat-burning genes and also slows down your metabolism so that no matter how hard you try, no matter how hard you work, it gets more and more difficult to lose weight. Thank you, Elanco, makers of Trifexis, Comfortis, and Reconcile. It's certainly the best combination for heartworm, flea, and internal parasite control is Trifexis. If you're in a tick area, if you have seen ticks or you're just plain and simply worried about ticks, add a 6-month duration Scalibor collar and you'll be in great shape. Esplin Medical, the makers of environmentally friendly, 80% all-natural fiber scrubs. You may order online. Anybody that has worn these says, my goodness, they are the most comfortable scrub I have ever worn. Many people have commented it's like wearing pajamas. They wash in cold water. They dry on air fluff, so there's another small environmental advantage that those products have. EsplinMedical.com, so www.esplinmedical.com. The Sylvania Veterinary Hospital website is absolutely your best source. If you're researching a condition in your pet, don't rely on the internet. Don't do a Google search. You're not getting scientific information. We have a great medical library which should enable you to look up in an authoritative way, written by experts, almost any condition that your dog or cat might encounter that will help you. So that's sylvaniavet.com, www.sylvaniavet.com, and we're located at 4801 North Holland, Sylvania, right at the end of Haroon. Flower Hospital's just up the road from Sylvania Vet. Our phone number, 419-885-4421. And check us out at 13abc.com on the Get Connected page. We're there. If you don't know us, there's a great 3-minute video that shows you an awful lot about what's there, and there are some endorsements on there that I think you'll find extremely reassuring. April 24th, Wednesday, April 24th at 7:30 p.m., Dr. Jen Tate is putting on our next seminar. It's going to be on animals and how the storms and like Katrina and Hurricane Charlie in Florida have affected the way the government and the other rescue organizations, FEMA, have allowed animals to become a part of the need for rescue. So I think you'll find that extremely interesting. There will be door prizes for everyone and in a raffle for everyone that's in attendance. Call 419-885-4421 and just reserve your place. Thank you. And there's only one greatest pet, and it lives in your home.
You have been listening to PetSylvania with Dr. Bob Esplin on WSYLradio.com. PetSylvania is brought to you by Elanco, maker of Trifexis and Comfortis. Tune in every Saturday at 10 a.m. as Dr. Bob explains the latest in veterinary care and answers your questions. You can email your pet questions to requests@WSYLradio.com, and Dr. Bob will answer them on a future show.